What's up everyone, Professor Mike and Coach T here from Grace Bar Roundhay Leeds, back with another technique video for you on our YouTube channel. Okay, today's an important one because we're going to start to look at the movement of Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, and if you think about any sport, whether that's football, rugby, tennis, boxing, they fundamentally rely on a fantastic ability to move well. Okay, so let's take football for an example. If you're a good footballer, you've got great technique, but you've also got an ability to accelerate, decelerate, change direction really quickly, okay? That's fundamental to the sport. If you're a boxer, you've got great footwork, great head work, okay? And your ability to move is fundamental to your ability to be able to box. Well, Jiu-Jitsu is exactly the same, okay? And I just wanted to just dwell on that real quick because I see a lot of people wanting to they see an amazing technique online that someone makes look super easy and they think, oh, I'm going to go learn that. Well, it only looks easy because the person who's doing it's got amazing movement. Okay, so dedicate time to becoming the best mover you can be on the mat and you'll be an amazing Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Okay, so just a little kind of pledge from me there for anyone new to Jiu-Jitsu. The reason we're starting off with the hip escape is because we see it most often in Jiu-Jitsu. It is our ability to be able to create distance whilst laying on the floor. And again, if we want to talk about movement, we need to know that as human beings, we've evolved to be fantastically agile on our feet, but actually now when we're on the ground, we're really kind of clumsy and we're really inefficient. You've only got to look at a toddler move on the floor, fantastically efficient, move really fluently and really well. Adults, older kids, not so. So we want to make sure that we're reteaching our Jiu-Jitsu students how to move well on the mat. Okay, so the hip escape, we're going to deconstruct it first and we're going to look at something called the butt scoot. Okay, the reason we're doing that is it will show you how to use your feet properly and it will just minimize the friction on the floor to start with. So Coach T is going to be our demo guy today. He's going to get into the position for the butt scoot. And we can use the butt scoot as a legit technique to create distance between ourselves and our opponent. Okay, so if you want to start moving, Coach T. Okay, we'll just talk through what Coach T is doing here. Okay, so first things first, you'll notice he's got his arm out to the front. Really good practice from a self-defense perspective, but also from a grappling perspective because we're ready to take grips. You'll notice, just pause there, mate, please. One foot is off the floor. Okay, he's raising his butt off the floor. That side of his body is going to be raised just a millimetre off the floor, and that just minimises friction on the mat. Okay, if we've got gravity pushed us onto the mat, we're going to be slow. We need to lift ourselves up, reduce the surface area on the floor to move as fast as possible. His other foot is the foot that's doing all of the work. Okay, the hand at the back is only there on the floor for balance. It doesn't pull you or push you across the mat. It's to balance your body and reduce the impact on your abs, okay? So watch this foot as he moves forward. He pulls with his whole foot. He lifts his butt off the floor. When he moves in the opposite direction, he pushes. So it's exactly the opposite. The whole of his foot's working, not just his toes, not just his heel, the whole of his foot. His butt's coming off the floor just a millimetre, and he's able to move. Okay, notice he's doing it both sides as well. So we want to drill both sides, okay? Perfect. So that is what we call the butt scoot, okay? We'll see that a lot in self-defense, okay? The hip escape, the same footwork, okay, but this time we're going to be flat on the floor. So Coach T wants to demonstrate this, please. So we can imagine for a second that someone's trying to pass Coach T's guard or get close to him. He places his foot like he does with the butt scoot. He pushes. This time his hip moves back, okay? And he creates the space for his hip by moving his head towards his hip line on the opposite side. Okay, so he push away, good. So he pushes away, his head comes into that shrimp position. Sometimes this is referred to as a shrimp, okay? And he's using again those muscles in his glutes and his quads and his calves to push him away. See his hip moving. Okay, that's the critical thing here. His feet stay where they are, his hip moves away. Okay, just one more, pause there please. So now in full extension, okay, if we were just to reset our back into a straight position, we'd be moving away down the mat. What we want to do now is use the opposite muscles. So where he's used his quads and his glutes and his calves to push away, he now uses his hamstrings to pull himself back and pull his butt back underneath him. Okay, and we're going to call that hip escape replacement. okay, not a forward shrimp or a forward hip escape. And you'll see why in a moment. So a few more, Coach T, good. So you see how he lifts his hips just a little bit off the mat, okay, he's exaggerating that at the top part just for his own kind of benefit to kind of get that muscle memory going. But really fluid movement, really kind of smooth, very nice. The arms aren't doing anything. They are there to protect our neck, okay, and protect our body. They're not there to push off the mat. Good job. Okay, the reason we don't call it a forward hip escape or a forward shrimp is because it's not. We're going to show you what a technical forward hip escape is right now. Okay, you'll see people in jiu-jitsu. Can you do a couple of bad ones where you kind of just throw your hips underneath you? So you see people in jiu-jitsu kind of, that's not actually a bad one. Okay, the kind of bad technique I see, let me just demonstrate a little bit with this kind of thing. Okay, where they're kind of not really moving through the full range of motion. They just move themselves. Kind of, looks a bit strange, but they're just moving themselves underneath a little bit. The full forward hip escape. Okay, from a full extended position, we're in that shrimp position. This time, instead of using the outside leg, which you was using before to pull and push, this time it's the inside foot. And the inside foot, we use the blade of the foot. So we pick your foot up, the blade of the foot here, particularly the corner of the little toes. Okay, dig into the mat and they pull our hips underneath us to face the opposite direction. Okay, again, the arms don't do anything here, they're just there for balance. Okay, so we're just going to pull ourselves through. Good, and then the inside foot digs into the floor, pulls our hips through to face the opposite direction. Okay? We use this, obviously, in the opposite way to use a shrimp. The shrimp is to create distance, the hip escape is to create distance. This is to reduce distance, and invariably in jiu-jitsu, to try and move underneath our opponent. And that's why we turn our hips to get underneath, which makes our opponent light, so we're able to sweep them. Okay, very cool. So that's the forward hip escape, the forward shrimp done technically well. Okay, so there's some ideas. The hip escape, butt scoot, the shrimp, the forward shrimp. Okay, now we need to look at how to bolt on movements to make our jiu-jitsu even more efficient. Okay, so the first scenario is this. It's a self-defense scenario, and let's say we're on the floor, we want to create distance and stand up. So this is a hip escape into coming up to the elbow, so building some base. So if you can just go to that point from the Coach T. So hip escape, and then he extends his body and comes up to his elbow. Okay, that just enables him to build some base to come up to his hand, so we're back in that butt scoot position. Then he could make a butt scoot back to create even more distance. Then he could technical stand up, come up to his feet, and we're ready to move away, disengage. Okay, done fluently, it looks like this. So hip escape, up to the elbow, up to the hand, butt scoot, and back up. Okay, just one more time, this time with the butt scoot between. So hip escape, up to the elbow, up to the hand, butt scoot, technical stand up. Good, nice. Okay, so come to the elbow while still facing our opponent and able just to build some base, okay, if we want to come up. The other way we can come up is to come to our knees and maybe grab hold of our opponent's legs and take them down. Okay, so in this instance, we would hip escape, and then our bottom leg would thread through the gap and we'd come to our knees. Okay, and then we could grab our opponent's legs, double leg, single leg, whatever it is, sit through. Okay, hip escape through to the knees and then come up. Okay, very cool. And the final one we want to talk about is hip escaping to create distance and then rolling through back to a guard position. Okay? If you're new to jiu-jitsu, just be careful doing this. We don't want to roll over our neck. Okay, our head should be tucked, chin stuck to our chest the whole time. We roll across the top of our shoulders. Okay? And there's a critical element to this which will enable you to do it or not. We're going to point that out to you now. So, Coach T is going to hip escape. He's going to pause just there. Notice, if I come around this way, the inside foot, which was doing all the work on our forward hip escape, is now dug in the mat. That is going to push, which will enable his hips to climb to create the space for him to roll underneath. So as he pushes off that foot, his hips climb, he can roll underneath, he can roll all the way through, back to a guard position, so he's facing his opponent to play guard again, okay? One more time for me, nice and fluid please. So it's a hip escape, drives him through, very nice, very cool. Okay, team, so there's some ideas about movement in Jiu-Jitsu. The best advice I can give you is to practice this movement. You should be doing it while you're watching a bake-off, Strictly, Harry Potter, whatever you're doing, you should be doing this kind of movement at home and becoming as fluid as you can in moving around on the floor, because that will make you the most efficient Jiu-Jitsu player going. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any comments, any questions, hit us up on social in the comments below, and we'll see you on the mat soon. Take care, bye.